Creative Classes with Elaine, and today we're going to do a tutorial on how to paint these beautiful mandala rocks using dot painting. So let's give you a closer look and let's get started. So first of all, on this mold that I use from Happy Dotting Company, they have a little dot in the center, which makes it nice. And then I just like to use this template I got, the stencil I got, and make the round circle. This round circle is the exact size for the tool that we're going to use for the very center. And then I have this stencil from Happy Dotting Company that comes with the mold, and I just like to make 4 of the lines, and you can do all of them. I have done that before, but I prefer to use this protractor and just make a few little circles just to kind of keep you on the right track. And you don't have to do this, but I find that it does help. Okay, and you don't want to do it too hard or too soft, and you can just practice with this until you get the right size. I know everyone has a different touch, so that's my students in my classes, their rocks turn out all different, and everyone has a different style and touch, and it's so fun to see that. So one thing I always like to tell my students, and I forget this sometimes, but to keep your paint close to you so that you're not reaching out every time to get paint. And I like to start in the middle dot with one of my darker colors. And the reason is because later on, as you see on this rock, I have 3 colors on this one dot. So it's called top dotting, and I put a darker color, then a lighter color, and then I put white on top of that. So I'm going to start out with my beautiful bright blue, and I dip it about 1/4 of an inch in the paint, and just sometimes I do it twice. Just you kind of have to sometimes wiggle it around a little bit, but that's pretty good. And this chalk pencil I use, it just wipes off when you're done, so that makes it easy. And I always wipe my tool off after I get that dot made, every dot made, and then we're gonna do some dots with our blue tool and the small end of our blue tool, and the same with this. You can practice on the paper or something else before you start dotting. So I like to do north, south, east, and west, 4 dots to start with the white paint. And then a dot between each of those. You want to wipe your tool off every once in a while too. And then a dot between each of those. And it doesn't matter if your dots are not exactly the same. In the end, when you're done, it's going to look beautiful. I mean, if a dot is just really bugging you, or just totally wonky, then you can use your little fixer or a Q-tip or something even, or a little paintbrush, and just wipe it off and redo it. So there we have a row of white dots. And then I'm going to put another row outside of that, and I'm going to use the different color that I haven't used yet, and I'm going to use the darker of those colors. So I'm going to do my dark gray, and I'm going to use the bigger end of the blue tool, and I'm just going to go down into the cleavage, if you will. So that's just in between each of those dots that I just did. We're going to take our green tool and the bigger end of the green tool, and we're going to use, for this row, we're going to use the same color we used for the center. And we're going to do the same thing into the little cleavage between each of those dots. Okay, and I see that one of my dots, the gray one, it got a little bit smaller than I would like to have it. So I'll just go back here and carefully make it a little bit bigger. Okay, so now we're going to do something slightly different, and we're going to put dots every other dot. So we're going to use the same tool we just used, the bigger end of the green tool, and we're going to skip a space this time, and we're going to use the same color, this dark gray that I used. So the color we used after the white row, we're going to go and use that again, but we're going to use the bigger end of the green tool, and we're going to do again, put it in that little cleavage, but we're going to skip every other one, and then we're going to put a bigger one between that. So there we go. And then we're going to use a color we have not used yet, and we're going to use our purple stick. And actually, so I'm going to use the lighter color of the one I just used, and this one is the light gray. And we're going to put it in between the dots that we just made. Okay. That one seems a little bit not as round as I'd want it, so I don't like to mess with them too much. If you start messing with them, most of the time it just makes them worse. So we'll go on now, and we're going to use our blue tool, so our blue stick, and we're going to use the next color that we haven't used yet, and it's the lighter one of your center dot. And we're going to put it just up on just to the top end of your smaller dot on the previous row. So between those two bigger dots in that little cleavage. Okay. And now we're going to use our blue tool again, and we're going to use the bigger end of the blue tool, and I'm going to use the white paint, and I'm going to put one dot just at the top of each one of these big dots. Okay, then now we're going to flip our tool over and use the smaller end, and you can practice this on your paper if you'd like. And what you do is you dip one time, and then you go to the side of your big dot, and you just go around and keep dotting without redipping down to that next dot. and just keep doing this. And I found that it's helpful if I watch where I'm going. Instead of watching what I'm doing, I just kind of watch where I want to put the next dot. And that kind of helps me with placement. And don't worry if it's not perfect. Like I said, it's going to look great when it's done. If you need to once in a while, just take a little break and just stop and hold it up, look at it from a distance, take a picture of it, and then look at it, and you'll see, wow, it's just gonna look great. Okay. And you can either do these next ones in white, or you can use your lighter color. Today I'm going to use my light blue and do a row with that. So I'm going to use the bigger end again of the blue tool and just make one single dot at the top of each one of these. And then I'll take my smaller end again and just go around each side. What you want to do is just look at your new row. Don't look at the last row and try to line it up each dot with each one of those dots, because then it'll look funny. But just do this row of dots separately and try to get them as close as possible without touching. And okay, and then I'm going to do one more row, and I'm just going to do it in white again. So I'm going to do the exact same thing. Put a dot at the end of each one of these with my blue tool, the larger end. Okay, so now we're going to take our purple tool again, and we're going to use our darker color again that we used for the center dot, and we're going to just make a dot between each one of those down in the little V. Okay. And then we're going to do 2 more rows of white dots, just like we did before. So I'm using the big, larger end of the blue tool. Okay, and then we're going to just put one single dot out on each end just to finish it off, just with the larger end of the blue tool. And some of you will notice that your design turned out bigger than mine or smaller than mine maybe, and that is normal because everyone has a different touch, and they all do tend to turn out differently. So now we're going to go into top dotting. So by this time, your paint should have gotten a little bit crusted over so that you can do top dotting on that. And if you feel like you can use a hairdryer, not on the highest setting, but kind of in the low setting, or I have this cute little fan that I got, and I try to move my paint away so it doesn't get dried out, and just It's battery operated. Actually, you can plug it in and charge it. And it's really handy for just drying your paint. Okay, so now I'm going to use the smaller tool than what we use for little, which is the blue one. And I'm going to just do a light blue dot on top of there. I think I needed to stir my paint a little bit first. So it's separating a little bit and drying out. I do try to keep my paints closed when I'm not using a certain color, because that's kind of what happens. But it's okay. And if I want to later on, I can go back and just redo that and put the darker color on and then the lighter color. But I'm going to put another color on top of that, so I think it's fine. And if you want, you can use the small tool and just kind of smooth it out a little bit. I think I should have dried it a little bit more before I did that, but I'll put another dot on top and it'll be fine. Just gonna roll with it. Okay, and then we're gonna go on and top dot some of the other ones. So we used our small tool there, and I'm going to go for these ones right here. I'm going to use my smallest tool and just put one little tiny dot on those. And this just makes it look more 3D. And then we're going to go and use the larger end of the blue tool and put some light dots on that blue there. Okay. And then I'm going to use the same tool, and I'm going to do light gray on these dark gray ones that I did around here. Okay, and then I'm going to do some dark gray ones on those light gray ones. So I'm going to use my bigger end of the green tool and just put some dots. If you want them just a little bit bigger, you can dip it twice. Okay, and then we're gonna put a dark blue on top of that light blue one, and just use this purple tool for that. And I'll use this, once again, the bigger end of the green tool, and put a lighter dot on each one of those. So it's already starting to look quite different. Like I said, those chalk lines I made earlier, you can kind of see them, but you can wipe them off after it's good and dry. Just gonna dry it a little bit. going to take this blue paint and just do another dot on top of that one we did in the center. And like I said, I don't like to mess with these too much because then it just gets worse often. But I'm just gonna try to make that just a little bit rounder, smooth it out a little bit. Okay. Actually, I think I'm just gonna go use my hairdryer to make it a little bit quicker. Okay, so now I want to do just another top dot on top of that one, and so I'm going to use the larger end of the green tool and just put a little dot on top of those ones. Then I'll use the smaller end of the green tool and I'll just put just a little top dot. I like to always end with a lighter color. You can end with the darker one, it's okay, but if you like that look. But I kind of like to have the lightest color on top. So that's that for those. And then I'm going to do some white top dotting, and I'll use the smaller one for these ones, and that'll just really make those pop nicely. And I'm going to put just a white top dot on these outside ones as well, just with that bigger end, the smaller end of the green tool. You could also use the larger end of the blue tool, which would be fine too. I'm just doing this one and just doing a really light touch to give it just a little pizzazz. And I'll dry those a little bit. And then I think I'm just going to do one little white one on the top of these as well, just to make them pop a little bit more. Okay, I'm going to do just a lighter color again in the middle. And I think I'll do just a little white top dot on those ones as well. Okay, and then just one last white dot in the center with my smaller end of my green tool. So there you have it. That is the basic tutorial for my dot painting rock class. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you'll get more of my tutorials.